Oh, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and not welcome to the MrWarrenHayes show. I am Mr. TrollinHayes. That's right. On the eve of Halloween, I have come out of the trolling patch to troll all of you tonight. Blah, 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 blah. Y'all are stupid, and you're dumb. You're a bunch of marks. Your favorite promotion sucks. And you deserve to be up Vince McMahon's butt. There's not going to be a MrWarrenHayes show tonight because yeah, that's how it is. Mr. TrollinHayes. What are you talking about? It's just being stupid. Look, it was me. It was me behind a mask. I was like this, see? I was going, ooh. It was me behind a mask, behind a troll mask. For those of you who are watching live or even on video on demand on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, thank you very much for being here. If you're listening on your podcast application and you're like, what the fuck is going on? I don't understand anything. It's just audio. Well, see, sometimes it pays to come to the live show. I had a troll mask on. It's Halloween. What are you gonna do? Halloween's a good time to have a little fun, right? But you know, while I was thinking about the bit, I was like, maybe I should have done this like on April Fool's, right? That would have been a little better. But hey, you know what? I wanted to do that tonight. It's my show and it's Halloween, and I enjoy Halloween for that kind of stuff. Thank you all for joining us here live. Hey, it's October 29. It's spooky season, and there was nothing spookier than someone coming on and saying there's not going to be a MrWarrenHayes show. That just spooks the hell out of me. But no, we are doing the MrWarrenHayes show live, just as we do every Thursday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. And of course, we've got a bunch of people joining us live. Per usual, we have Tim Traver, who's here. Good to see you. Robert Larry, hello. Kelly Tonjes, hello. Yeah. Welcome to the chat. All of you. DGMC is here. How you doing, friend? Who else we got? We got Benoit Parise, who's here as well. Hello to Robert Sterling. Good to see you as well. We've got Anakin JMT in the chat. Brian Payne. Nikki as well. Sports and Things. Carlos, how you doing? Thank you everyone for being here on this lovely Thursday evening. I hope everything is going well, and I really appreciate you being here. You know what else I appreciate? A thumbs up on the video, a like. That kind of thing helps tremendously. It really, really does help enormously to get things to get the show out there, help it grow, make people join in. That kind of stuff is super important. So I really do appreciate it. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast app, by the way, thank you for doing that. you can show some love there with a review, a like, a subscribe, whatever you do on that particular podcast app of your choice. It's all the kind of stuff that helps really tons the Mr. Warren Hayes show. So thank you for that. Thank you a great deal. Don't forget, I'm still conducting interviews over on belltobells.com. That's BELLTOBELLES. I'm still talking to women who ranked on the PWI's Women's 100 list. Just today, Alexia Nicole. Was it yesterday? No, it was yesterday. Alexia Nicole that I talked to. Go check it out. Head on over there. Join the podcast as well. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's all sorts of great stuff there, and I'm still conducting more interviews with more fantastic, talented women. Really, really stoked about it. You guys should check that out. Absolutely check that out. So that's happening over there. By the way, last night, the night before, on Tuesday evening, I was on the Smacking It Raw podcast. I had one of their contributors, Vince Delgado, on the show on a prediction show a few weeks ago. Yeah. They invited me on to their unpopular wrestling opinion show, where basically the host runs down some unpopular opinions off of Twitter, and then there's a panel of us who discuss as to whether or not the opinion is trash or not, if it's a good tweet or not. And it was a lot of fun. So do take the time to check that out. Check it out over on the Smacking It Raw podcast. You can follow them on Twitter as well. It was a lot of fun. Be sure to check that out. And there's a Discord. Don't forget that. The link is in the description of the video or the podcast here. Come and join us. I mean, it's fun. You talk about wrestling. You get some live viewing as well. Plus, I'll be able to hang out more on Wednesday nights. Wink, wink. So, but come and join us. It's always a good time on the podcast. It's always a good time on the podcast, but it's always a good time in the Discord as well. Lots of regulars, good times. Come and join us. Don't forget to join me on the Patreon after we're done here. Patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes. If you become a subscriber there and you join us, you get access to the post stream where we take calls from patrons who join us in the aforementioned Discord as well. We live chat as well. And tonight we're going to be talking about, amongst other things, wrestling video games. That's fun. What were your favorite wrestling video games? What were your least favorite wrestling video games? Are you addicted to WWE Battlegrounds? I would wager that you're not, because it's not a good game. But I do believe that we'll be talking a lot more about video games, WWE, all sorts of wrestling related videos. So come on over. It's always a good time with the patrons. Always fun. You can also join this channel here on YouTube if you become a member of the channel, especially if you come here live. I think that's a good deal. It's a good idea. If you join the Mr. Warren Hayes channel during the live shows, you get access to a whole bunch of exclusive emojis. So why don't you do that you can use and show off in the chat? If you like to come here on Thursday nights, I think it's a good deal, pal. Or you can drop us a super chat as well. That's another good way to show some support for the Mr. Warren Hayes show. And I will read your question or comment live on the air. Such as Anakin, who left us a super chat. Thank you very much, Anakin JMT. He says, like I said, biggest heel in the business, Warren Hayes, especially after last night. Hashtag Retribution for DGMC. What did I do last night? I don't remember. I do remember. I really felt bad because Anakin left a super chat on my on the Fightful Wednesday Night Wars podcast last night, and I copy paste them all and into a document, into my notes, so that I can follow everything, because I know that at some point they sort of time out. Yeah, there comes a point where you can't scroll up to that anymore, so just to me, and I completely miss it, and I'm sorry, Anakin. I really, really feel bad, but I appreciate the super chat tonight. Kevin Wakeham left us a super chat as well. Thank you very much, Kevin. He says, hello, chat. Hope you're all keeping safe. Thanks for all the hard work you do, Warren. Here's a small donation to go towards my patron pledge. Well, thank you very much, Kevin. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Very, very much appreciate it. And Anakin left us another super chat as well. It says, Warren, still talking to women. I'm not quite sure what that means. I talk to women. I talk to women all the time. Like right now. I'm sure there's women out there. I want to say hi to Anthony Gaston, who's in the chat right now, and Throwback, who's here as well. Good to see you, Throwback. Subscribe to his channel. What the hell are you people doing? What are you guys doing? Before we get on with the festivities tonight, I'd just like to take a moment to talk about Tracy Smothers, who passed away yesterday, actually, at the age of 58 after a battle with lymphoma. Tracy Smothers, stalwart of the late 80s, 90s wrestling circuit. He started off working in the Southern Territories with Steve Armstrong in Florida Championship Wrestling, the first iteration. Used to call themselves the Wild-Eyed Southern Boys. He ended up in WCW, then went to Smoky Mountain Wrestling, where he got a lot of success there. He won the heavyweight title twice and the tag titles twice with the Dirty White Boy, calling themselves the Thugs, right? T is for terrible, H is for L, U is for ugly, and G is for jail, because thugs can't spell. God, I've always loved that promo. It's fantastic stuff. Ended up in ECW as well, under Paul Heyman in the big years of the promotion as well. And he's a guy who loved the business, loved taking care of new talent, showing them the ropes, taking them under his wing, and you can tell just by the outpour of sincerity and love that came out on Twitter, social media yesterday. That's the measure of a man right there, when all they can talk about is how kind you are, the people that have fond memories of him. He clearly was an influence on so many people. Gone way too soon. Tracy Smothers, may he rest in power. What a career, and what an absolute gentleman. So there we have it. So on that note, let's get right to it. Let's go with the weekly wrestling inspection. Is Mr. Trollin Hayes still here? What? From now on, I'm just blaming everything on Mr. Trollin Hayes. Okay, I'm going to get this one out of the way because it's pretty funny. Anakin JMT left us a super chat. Thank you again, Anakin. He says, credit to Mr. Minoan from the Discord. Shout out to the Mr. Warren Hayes Show Discord, by the way. If Riddle teams with Hardy, can they be called the Enigmas? You've all heard that Matt Riddle is now going to be just referred to as Riddle, right? I like that. Thank you, Anakin, and thank you, Mr. Minoan, as well. That was fun stuff. JS Brown is in the chat as well. Good to see you. All right, let's get to it. Let's start with I'm going to start by recapping some final thoughts on Hell in a Cell 2020, and we're going to warm soda this because I don't think it was a perfect show. I don't think it was a bad show. I don't think it was a good, an overall good show, but there were some very, very good things. Let's get to it. Pre-show had R-Truth defending the 24/7 championship against Drew Gulak. He successfully defended it against Drew Gulak. Do you remember when the 24/7 title used to be fun? You remember that? I do. Then we got to the main card. Now, here's what I'm going to talk about. What I want to talk about first and foremost. I remember, I'm old, folks. I'm old. So I remember long enough. I have an extended memory. I remember when the Hell in a Cell match was a match that you'd pull out once in a while, and it felt dramatic and it felt intimidating because of the legacy that came along with it. So you didn't have necessarily a pay-per-view that was absolutely 100% set up just to have Hell in a Cell matches. It just happened once in a while, and then generally it became a pay-per-view, and then we started getting 2 or 3 per card. And going into this, we've talked about this, going into this pay-per-view, the main question I had is, why are we having 3 Hell in a Cell matches on this card? Especially since, you know, maybe one of them doesn't quite need it. In the case of Sasha and Bayley, was it a good idea to put them in there already? Because you kind of want to build to that, right? You sort of want to have the proper feud, and then this is like the big blow-off where they pull out all the stops to destroy each other. So I felt that maybe we were going a little prematurely on this. Maybe there were a little too a couple of extra matches here that we didn't need. And to be perfectly transparent with you, I thought Jay versus Roman was a match that did not require Hell in a Cell, at least in its execution, right? Here's the thing. Roman Reigns, Universal Champion, defeated Jey Uso. I quit match. I got it. And we're gonna get the good stuff out of the way. I thought it was a good story. I thought it was I got it. I understood the story. I think it's compelling. I think Roman Reigns is fantastic. I really don't think there's anyone right now in WWE who is more entertaining, more compelling than Roman Reigns is right now, alongside Paul Heyman, of course. They're doing such good work. They're really doing absolutely perfect good work. Now, this is where I'm questioning whether or not they needed to sell, is due to the fact that the doors opened, and then you got a whole bunch of people coming. You had officials. You had Jimmy Uso came in to contribute to the ending. Now, if this is the ending you want to do, where you have officials barging in, where you have outside interference that comes in and affects the match, why put it in a cell in the first place? You could even argue that the minute that they decided to make it I Quit, why, again, put it in the cell? An I Quit match could easily live on its own. And I don't think they really used the cage all that much either. Wasn't really prevalent within the match. They were keeping spots for later, I get it, but it didn't feel necessary. It really, really, really didn't feel necessary in the content, in the execution, in what they decided to do. Because the thing is that it cheapens the Hell in a Cell, right? And I remember at some point, towards the end of the match, it felt like they were going to go down the road of a no contest again, right? It really did feel like they were going to go down the road for another no contest. And I don't know why. I don't know why they were teasing that. If they do this again, they're just cheapening the Hell in a Cell, which is already kind of cheapened, but now they're going forward because you're not supposed to have no contest like what happened with Bray Wyatt and the Fiend, not Bray Wyatt, Seth Rollins and the Fiend last year. It's like, what the hell is a no contest in Hell in a Cell? That doesn't make sense. And the other thing that irks me, that bugged me, was Roman felt, or at least he was directed, to talk about his motivations. Do a lot of exposition, a lot of talking in the ring to make us understand why he's doing this. But here's the thing. I don't consider myself a dummy. I'm pretty sure a lot of you out there don't consider yourselves dummies either. So I would consider that and even appreciate that WWE let the story be told without having it be shoved in my face with continuous exposition, because I thought it slowed down the match. I thought it broke the rhythm, and it took me out of it at some point. I'm like, just shut up, Roman. I understand what you're doing. I get it. I'm not a complete moron. Instead of trying to force the emotion on us, create the emotion for us. And this is one of these things where I wonder if WWE truly is creatively bankrupt, if they're unable to tell stories that will get us invested in a match, or that will invest us throughout the match without doing the exposition to make goddamn sure we understand that this is how it's going. Roman is doing this because he wants his cousin to bow down. And I'm like, I understand it all. So I can take a bit of it, but to me there was too much of it in this match. And I'm being nitpicky because I like the match, I like the story, I like the work that they put into the match more than their match at Clash of Champions. I thought it was a better match overall, but I really wish WWE would do something about its storylines. Just letting the wrestlers tell the stories and not literally telling me the story. I'm not an infant. I can figure these things out for myself. Oh, yeah. Or at least, even if you don't want to shove it all down my throat, leave things open for interpretation. God knows we wrestling fans like to speculate on stuff. Let us know, is he doing this because of that, or is this because of that? We like that. So we're okay with it. DGMC left us a super chat. Thank you very much. He says, Godfather music plays in my head whenever I see Roman. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's his vibe right now, right? He's like, just like this masterful, this master who will take no prisoners, and you're either with me or you're against me kind of thing. I agree. That's fantastic. Injection 2K left us a super chat. Thank you very much. He says, Roman talking was him talking down to his opponents. Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I get it. I know why he was doing it. That's not, my issue isn't with some smack talk, but this was a little more. This was really, we're shoving the story down your throats, y'all. Like this. Hey, you know what? I forgot to pull something up, and I'm going to do it right now. I'm activating some viewer polls tonight, some live polling. Let's pull them up right here. There we go. As I'm talking about Hell in a Cell, why don't you tell me, chat, how did you like Hell in a Cell? Do you think it was hot trash, warm soda, cool beans? Let me know. The link is in the description if you want to go ahead and vote. The votes will be tallied live. The link is also up there. Look at that. Why is our boy Macho Man is behind the poll, which is weird. But let us know. Let us know what you thought about it. Go ahead, vote live right now. If you're watching live right now on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, go ahead as I continue talking about Hell in a Cell. And I love the ending, right? With Sika and Alpha being there and giving them like the beads to sit at the head. I don't know exactly what you call it, but my God. Fantastic stuff. The story's going well. I just wish they'd, not take us for complete fools kind of thing. Elias defeated Jeff Hardy by disqualification. This was not a good match. The Miz defeated Otis to become Mr. Money in the Bank now after Tucker turned on him. Turned on Otis is what I'm saying here. He cracked Otis with the briefcase, and now Otis has no friends, and he's back on SmackDown. But apparently now Tucker's back on SmackDown for some reason, and that sucks. I hope they explain that, because what a week after you do the draft, that's some pitch perfect planning right there, WWE. Good job. Make sure that we're invested in your drafts, right? This is the perfect way to do it. I didn't like the match, and especially I saw everyone going like, oh, well, thankfully Miz has the briefcase now, so he'll be a proper contender. Look what happened on Raw. Gets into a match with Drew McIntyre. Boom, loses cleanly. So your contender, the guy with the briefcase, right, loses on Raw with his first appearance with the briefcase. To me, we're back to square one with Otis. I think, whatever they had planned, they didn't have anything planned for Otis. I think it's painfully obvious now. Whatever they had in mind never came to fruition. It's a shame because it looks bad on him. It's a bad look for him moving forward. Yeah. But yeah, we've got Miz now, so we'll see what happens. Anakin left us a super chat. He says, who dared thumbs down this show? DGMC? I don't know, man. But I don't mind. I don't mind if people thumb up or downvote the show. Well, not downvote, but thumbs down the show. Everyone is entitled to whatever they feel about what I do, and that's absolutely fine. And the thing is that it's engagement. Engagement is engagement. So whether it's a thumb up or a thumb down, it doesn't change anything in YouTube's eyes. Sasha Banks defeated Bayley to become the Smackdown Women's Champion in a Hell in a Cell. Now, this was a match that worked in Hell in a Cell because of the feud, but also because the women used the cell. They used it. They used the toys. Everything was in there. Took full advantage of the cage. And I loved the spots. I loved where Sasha, the sunset flip bombs into the cage and the steel chair, and the sunset flip bomb into the steel chair. They were vicious. Sasha wrapping a chair around Bayley's throat and into the bank statement for the win. Mwah. I loved this match. It ruled so hard. Best match of the night. Right up until last night, I think it was a clear contender for match of the week in WWE, but it was really good. It was a strong match. I thought it was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And what else were we to expect from these two women? Like, quite frankly, there was nothing else. We didn't expect anything less, and they delivered, and it was good. My God. We had Bobby Lashley defeating Slapjack from Retribution by submission. Whatever. It was for the US title. Whatever. And Randy Orton defeated Drew McIntyre to become the WWE champion. And so again, well, these guys used the cage to the extent that we expect the cage to be used. So climbing on top, someone falling off. Whoever goes on last with the cage that's going to be the match where someone is going to fall off the side of the cage through commentary. And God bless Drew McIntyre for taking the spot. But first of all, I thought the production work at Hell in a Cell was very iffy. There were a lot of spots that were whiffed by production as they were happening live. But when we went back to replay, now we got the full gist of it. But I thought production was off all night on Sunday, and production missed Drew falling through commentary, and I'm like, why? Why did you miss it? You do incessant camera cuts when you don't need it, but then when you absolutely need to do a camera cut, you don't do it. My God, WWE. God bless Drew, but here's the thing, right? And this is what breaks my heart, is that Drew doesn't need, or Drew does the spot, but we're already not talking about it. Yeah. And yet he's falling off the cage through commentary. That's a fucking hard bump, but we've been so used to these big bumps in Hell in a Cell, and we see Hell in a Cells once a year with all sorts of crazy stuff going on between 2 or 3 matches that we sort of get desensitized about it. And that's not good, because you know that there's wrestlers backstage who are like, if I ever get in Hell in a Cell, we're going to set up some swords at ringside, and I'm going to fly off the cage and land through the swords and maybe impale myself. I'm exaggerating, but you know that's what they're thinking. They're thinking of, how am I going to make the next big spot? How am I going to top Mick Foley and everything that's happened since? So that's the thing. Don't get me wrong. Fantastic bump. Congratulations, Drew, for pulling it off. I think it's a big deal that he did. But my God, man, how much news did that make? It was like, oh, it's Drew who fell off the cage, not Drew McIntyre fell off the cage. Anyway, I called it Randy Orton, new champion, and I think it works. Let's carry Randy into WrestleMania with the title. I am absolutely okay with that. DGMC left us a super chat. Thank you very much. He says, would have preferred an RKO off the cell, to be honest. You mean like both guys flying off the cage? Ooh. I'm willing to bet 10 Canadian rubber bucks that was discussed. At the very least, they talked about it. I don't know how you pull that off safely. I don't know how you're going to pull that off safely. It's weird, you know? It's so very, very, very strange. But that's what that was Hell in a Cell for me. I thought it was warm soda. I think there were some. I thought there was the good was very good, but the bad was very bad as well. So evens itself out. Aside from Sasha versus Bayley, I don't think there's anything really that you need to go out of your way to see. But if you haven't seen Sasha versus Bayley, I think it's definitely worth it. The live MrWarrenHayes poll seems adequate, seems up to date with my own thoughts here. Warm soda at 54.5%. So most people agree. 36.4% said it was cool beans. 9.1% went for some hot trash. It wasn't a bad show by any stretch of the imagination, because what was good was really, really good. So that's the kind of stuff that always saves it. Let's look at some super chats. DGMC says, God, no, Orton versus Edge for the title at Mania, please. Says, God, no Orton versus Edge for the title at Mania, please. Yeah, that's what I'm going for. I dig it. For the WWE Championship, sure. And then for the Universal title, you give me Dwayne Johnson versus Roman Reigns. Fuck yeah. That's what I want. It would make perfect sense in the storyline too. And then Roman beats The Rock, and he legitimately takes his seat at the table. Ooh, yeah. That would be some kick-ass storytelling right there. Mr. Fretz just left us a super chat. Thank you very much, Mr. Fretz. Says, Warren! That's me. Just watch Walter versus Dragunov. Holy bleep. You can swear on the MrWarrenHayes show. Yeah, well, look, I saw some GIFs. My God. But I watched Alexander Wolf and Walter versus Pete Dunne and Ilya Dragunov from 2 weeks ago now, I think at this point, last week or the week before. Match of the year in WWE. Jesus Christ. It was so good. If you have not seen that match, this is the kind of thing where you drop everything and you watch it. It's worth the resubscription to WWE Network for the month. Best $10 you'll ever spend. $11, whatever it is now. It's fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic. All right, let's move away from some warm soda. Thank you very much for everyone for the super chats. Moving on so far. Okay, it's starting to talk about Retribution. We're going to talk about the Retribution timeline of suck. Because, folks, it ain't working. It's not working. Retribution is not working right now. And you know what? I'm going to pull out another poll here while we're talking about this. Let's go to our next question here. Let me pull out the poll back. There we go. Next question. Is the Retribution angle done? Yes, no, or give it time. If you're watching live on the MrWarrenHayes show right now, the link to vote is in the description. It's live on your screen. Go ahead and vote. What do you think about the Retribution angle? Is it done? Yes, no, or should we still give it time? I, for one, am completely done with it. There's nothing. I don't think there's nothing left in this angle, especially after Monday. And and it's not like they didn't have opportunities to do it, right? It's not like they had chances to give us something interesting with the angle. They've had more than enough opportunities and nothing happened. Let's run down the timeline, shall we? August 3rd was their debut. Hooded figures throwing Molotov cocktails at a generator, right? That was their debut. Then moving forward, let's keep going down this timeline. August 7, they crashed the Smackdown show, right? And they cut the ropes and they spray paint stuff. And you're like, oh, okay, we're getting somewhere here. There's something going on here. All right. On August 10, they don't show up at all. But this is when they're revealed that they are the group known as Retribution. The group that calls themselves Retribution, as Corey Graves said. On August 14th, the Smackdown show, they attack Big E and John Morrison and the crew members backstage. August 17, they trash a production truck. August 21st, Smackdown again. They attack Braun Strowman until the Smackdown roster chases them away. So all they're doing is hits in and out, and they're not all that successful. They're not like, it's not like these big impactful moments. They're just like in and out, doing stuff. There's SummerSlam. They do nothing with them at SummerSlam. August 24, Raw. They attack Dominic Mysterio. Payback. They do nothing with them at Payback either. August 31st, they attack the Street Profits. They attack Andrade. September 7 is the debut of the logo and the distorted promo that they do, right? The logo that suddenly appears in the Thunderdome and on TV. September 14, they cut another promo. This is where they distract Aleister Black so that he can lose. Then they attack McIntyre later on in the evening, but Keith Lee and Drew McIntyre chase them away, as do the Hurt Business. September 21st, Retribution reveals their names, and they reveal that they're under contract with WWE, and they lose their first match via disqualification. Clash of Champions, they're nowhere to be found. Now we're back to Raw on September 28th, but they're not there. They're not there. October 5, Mustafa Ali is revealed to be their leader. October 12, they're advertised to be there. And they're advertised by saying Mustafa Ali has something to announce. But they never show up. The segment is not produced. It's not done. We don't see it. October 19, they're on TV and they're having a match with the Hurt Business again. And this is the one from 2 weeks ago where they lose against Retribution. And not only do they lose against Retribution, The Fiend takes all of them out. Hell in a Cell, they have Slapjack compete against Bobby Lashley and he loses, taps out clean. And then on October 26th, just this Monday, they lose to the Hurt Business again, and Ali runs away from the match. The leader flees like a chicken shit. This has got to be the absolute... Oh, and this, of course, is the same evening where Mia Yim was possessed by some demon, apparently. Look, this has got to be one of the worst booked angles in WWE history. Something that they build up to, that they give us, there's mystery. What do they want? Who are these people? And are unable to properly deliver on any way, shape, or form. And not only do they not deliver on the surprise factor, they're not even bothered to have them win. They're not even winning matches. They're losing. And there's not a single point here where you can say this was Retribution's dominating moment. This was the moment where they came in and they felt like a threat. Because all throughout, it wasn't threats. We were like, what do they want? What are they doing? At first, there's curiosity. Then the curiosity has to transform into something a little more concrete. But we were just left with our arms open like this. Don't forget to vote, folks, on whether you think the Retribution angle is done or not. And listen, the Nexus, who I compared Retribution to 2 weeks ago. Or last week, actually. The Nexus debuted, when they debuted in 2010, they took out John Cena, CM Punk, Jerry Lawler, Justin Roberts, destroyed all sorts of shit around the ring. That is a statement. You're taking out the top guys. You're taking up, you're taking out Justin Roberts, he's a bystander, he's a commentator, and then you wreck shit up, and you look at these guys all together, and you're like, damn. Why did we like the Nexus so much? It's because they came in dominating. The Shield, when they debuted, they triple power bombed Ryback through a table, which allowed CM Punk to pin John Cena and win the match. Now that's a debut too, because you come in and you influence the outcome of a big main event. They haven't done this shit. Hell, the NWO. And as much as we like to make fun of WCW booking, and goddamn, there are more than enough reasons to do that, but the NWO would constantly fuck with Nitro, especially in the early days, doing unplanned things. It felt like a shoot, and they'd mess stuff up on the main event level constantly. And yes, of course, eventually it just got too much. But I'm talking about it first. At least when the NWO began, there was impact. It felt real. So the difference between these three factions that I just mentioned and Retribution at this point is that Retribution hasn't had any real in-ring implication. It hasn't had anything set up, anything happen that had a consequence in the ring, and ultimately that's what matters in WWE. You watch wrestling because everything is settled in the ring. If you're throwing cinder blocks through windows, I don't give a shit. Throw a cinder block at someone in the ring though, I'll pay attention, right? They can't win matches. Their leader runs away. Their biggest member, the T-Bar, Donovan Dijak, taps clean to Bobby Lashley, and the only female member gets possessed and throws a fit in the ring where no one understands what's going on. Now, you will recall, as we've been talking up this angle for some time now, since October 3rd, you know where I stand on this. Retribution came into being because of the protests, because of all the imagery of people in dark hoods breaking shit up and throwing Molotovs and shit like that. That's the imagery that WWE went for to bring into here. The Antifa stuff, right? Those far left extremists, right? That's it. This is what they are here. These, as David Bixenspan likes to call Retribution, the Antifa super soldiers. That's pretty much what they are, right? And I told you guys that eventually, when they'd be revealed, so on and so on, they'd be positioned as heels, because as a group who wants to take down the almighty and powerful WWE, why would you want to tear down this great institution that is the WWE? They are going to be positioned as heels, unquestionably. And eventually, they're going to lose to the good defenders of WWE, because WWE can be taken down. WWE is immortal and too strong, kind of thing. Especially against these far left activists, these far left extremists. They've never called them like that, but that's exactly what this is. Now, I knew this was going to happen, but they didn't even give them a chance to fight back. They didn't even give them a chance to feel like a threat. It's like Vince McMahon is like, we're going to show these Antifa jerkwads straight off the bat with how we handle these things in the ring. And as if he's lost himself. He doesn't understand that he should be telling a story. He's more like, no. Let's have the masked thugs get taken out, kind of thing. I don't get it. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating because there's too much good talent involved in this shit angle. Mustafa Ali, Donovan Dijak, Mia Yim, Shane Thorne, who will never get a chance to properly shine here, Dio Madden, who we've seen a little of, but again, we'll probably not properly get a chance to see what he can really do. This is what sucks, ultimately. And I've told you guys this before. I don't believe in, well, at least they're on TV anymore. I don't. Not in the case of WWE, because WWE is on a track record of doing irredeemable shit. They're going to bury their own talent, and they're like, well, we can't put you on TV just yet, Donovan, because you still smell of the Retribution thing. We got to let that go by. What the fuck are they doing with Chelsea Green right now? They have her had some matches. They're having her sit at home. She had some great matches with Charlotte, and now they're not putting her on television for God knows what reason, and she's in her prime. They're going to have these people sit down while their prime passes by, not let them perform? Jesus fucking Christ. It's so infuriating because it does go beyond the shitty booking. It affects it affects the livelihood and the career of these wrestlers, because everything a pro wrestler does is the level of success that they're able to achieve is based on their reputation and their what they're able to do. Their resume is the word I'm looking for. Their resume. That's what speaks most down the road. There will always be people who will be able to rehabilitate themselves, but a lot of them don't. And I don't believe that just saying, well, at least they're on TV, at least they're doing something with Ali. No, I can't get behind that shit. Put them on TV, let them shine by themselves instead of this goofy ass shit that you can't even book properly, and it's your idea. It's your idea, WWE. Vince, you like this idea because you're the target audience of WWE. There's no other demographics than white males 77 years old or however old you are, 76, whatever. That's the demographic. It's you, Vince. So why don't you like it? It's your idea. You should be liking it. I'm glad most of you watching live right now agree the Retribution angle is done at 72%. 27.3% said no. No one said give it time. I think it's out of time. Thank you very much for participating in the polls. Let's see a couple of super chats here. Anakin JMT left us a super chat again. Thank you, Anakin. He says, I voted no. Oh, you're the one who voted no. Only because Vince won't kill it yet, but in terms of credibility, it's done. I just don't see Vince pulling the plug yet. No, because he wants to see the Antifa guys get beat up some more. DGMC left us a super chat. Thank you very much. She says, happy that Ciampa and Bivens weren't in it like I hoped. Hell yeah, for sure. I was even saying, wouldn't it be cool if they brought Leo Rush back? And, you really had these discontents, but I'm glad none of this is happening. DGMC left another super chat again. Thank you very much. Says the Natural Born Thrillers were booked better. Yeah, they were. At this point, they really were. And DGMC leaves another super chat, one final one. Thank you very much, saying Retribution is going to be looting catering soon. For sure. I think that's where we're going. Want to say hello to Timothy Farley of Armbar Audio. Good to see you, Timothy. Jason PS3 is here as well. Good to see you. I'm just scrolling back a bit to make sure I haven't missed anyone. Hopefully I didn't. Tom Tanyan. Good to see you. Welcome to the chat. Okay. We're gonna keep the hot trash train going here. Yes, we are. So they're having qualifiers for the men's Survivor Series, right? Right. They're having qualifiers. To determine the 6 members of the team. We already had AJ Styles defeating Jeff Hardy, Keith Lee defeating Elias, and Sheamus defeating Riddle. And so that's how they're building up the teams. They're having qualifiers to be on the team. Now what are they doing with the women's team? Oh, they're going to have Adam Pearce come out and say, Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, Mandy Rose, and Dana Brooke are all on the team. And we're going to have a fatal 4-way to determine who the 5th member is. And then they drop Lana, Peyton Royce, Nikki Cross, and Lacey Evans in this 4-way, and Lana wins. Why can't we have qualifiers for the women as well? Why is the women just dumped? Why are they all just dumped into the team? But there's one spot open. What is this logic? I don't understand it. This is the same logic the same level of logic as when Adam Pearce had the New Day and the New Day and the Street Profits just swap titles when they were drafted on separate brands. So fucking stupid. But then, I mean, we have this discussion every year. We have this chat every year when Survivor Series rolls around. Why would you qualify to be on the Survivor Series crew in the first place? What are the stakes? Brand supremacy means nothing. It only means nothing. It means nothing to everyone except for Vince. For him, this is some great concept, but especially if you're a heel involved in this, what is your benefit? Is it more money? I'd like that to be more money. The winning team gets a bigger purse, and that's all you have to say. But in the mind of Vince McMahon, WWE superstars don't do this for money. They do this because they're superstars. And this, they can do anything they want, so they choose to do this kind of thing. I don't know. It's dumb as hell. It's super, super dumb. Don't get me wrong. But I'd love to see some stakes. I'd love to see this would be my dream. This would absolutely be my dream. The winning team of Survivor Series, the winner, let's say the last guy standing on his team for Survivor Series, if he wins the match for his team, he gets a shot at the WWE title at Royal Rumble. I think that's cool. If there's more than one guy left, well, they have a match at, what is it going to be, TLC or the last pay-per-view in December. They have a match to determine which. Just give me something, a reason for these people to get together in a team to work together. Because I don't understand. I wish there were stakes, real stakes, or something like, if you make the brand win, then that brand gets it could be just as stupid as a trophy, and I'd get behind it. You know what I mean? It wouldn't take much. It really wouldn't take much. There's just no reason for it to happen, or the brand gets hey, how about this instead of a title match? I think this is an idea I've pulled out before. The winning team, the winning team of Survivor Series, the last man standing, is going to be number 30 in the Royal Rumble. There's 2 guys left, number 29 and 30. There's 3 guys left, number 28, 29, and 30. It would be so simple, but that would require forward planning. That would actually require some thought. I don't understand it. I just wish they did anything else but this. I want to say hello to Patrick Mason. Good to see you, Patrick. Welcome to the chat. And the first lady of the Mr. Warren Hayes show, Kristen Ashley, has joined us. She's arriving just at the moment where everyone is calling me logical, or trying to get me to stop being logical. She knows how logical I am. I'm going to have to keep the hot trash stuff going. I'm sorry. I apologize. We're going to move on to AEW now. I don't like the Young Bucks stuff right now with FTR. I don't. I don't. And I think it all. I feel like I've been giving it a fair chance moving forward. But I think it all culminated last night on Dynamite to a point where I'm like, checked out. This is dumb. It's overwrought. It's overbooked. Look, first of all, the Jacksons, booking, their storytelling, I should say, is all over the place. And last night, they were desperately trying to make sense of all their attitude shifts. Oh, we were so tired of seeing FTR manipulate our friends. And you're like, no, because before that, way before FTR showed up, you were already fed up with Adam Page. Why? This has been going on for a while, and I was excited at the idea of, fuck yeah! Heel Young Bucks are best Young Bucks. I don't want to cheer for Matt Jackson. I want to call him a snotty son of a bitch. That's what I want to do. That's what I like. That's what I like about him. I like that he can be smarmy and a little, someone you just like, oh, you son of a bitch. That's what's good about him. So I was like, heels, good. But now they're like, no, we're not really heels. We were in a dark place. It sounded like a YouTuber apology. And their match with FTR was and is a dream match. It's a dream match, right? It's something that has been building outside of their promotions for years. Who is the best? They're taking shots at each other on social media, on BTE. This has been going on for such a long time. It is a dream match. It's a match that people didn't expect to see and we're going to get. And we're going to get in AEW, which is the perfect place for tag team wrestling, right? So that's cool. They're adding stakes with the titles. Fine. I can dig that. And I think it's a good idea. But it is a dream match. So like Robert was saying last night on the podcast, he was saying this situation here is putting a hat on a hat on a hat. You already had the hat of the dream match. You put another hat with the titles on top of it, and that's okay. But then adding the Cody stipulation to it, if we don't win, we'll never challenge for the belts again. I'm like, why? This is overbooked. It's already overbooked. It's saturated. And it was such a simple angle to execute. It really was. The Bucks are pissed off because they've been playing EVP all for the past year. And I've expressed this idea before. This is our playground. This is what, we're supposed to be top dogs. We're supposed to be doing things on our own here. People should be looking up to us. It's time for us to take what's ours. FTR is here. Oh, by the way, we don't like you guys because you're a couple of assholes. And FTR's like, yeah, you know what? You're a couple of assholes too. Let's fight. And then, the tag title's involved. I'm cool with that. But the other stip on top of it, and I don't know if it's a situation where they're still like, well, we don't want to come across as, the booker taking control, that since they're executives, that we're booking everything in our favor. We want to be generous to everyone. At this point, we just want the match with FTR and we want the good time. And if the Bucks win, fantastic. If FTR win, fantastic. Oh yeah. The point is everything that's been built around this is secondary. Plus, all these shenanigans with the Bucks being pissed off was never really tied into FTR until last night when they tried to make it all seem like it was coherent, but it wasn't. It's not. I don't like it. I think this is a flub by AEW. Look at how clean and simple Kingston versus Moxley is. It's personal. They hate each other's guts. They just want to fight. I quit. Boom. That's it. There's nothing extra about it. There's nothing overwrought. There's no melodrama here. Man, I don't know what they're doing here. I really don't. DGMC left us a couple of super chats again. Thank you very much, DGMC. I appreciate it. He says, first off, if the Bucks had only been super kicking and picking on that just Alex Marvez, them being baby faces against FTR would have been easier to digest. Yes, because you super kick Alex Marvez, you're a baby face. But no, I agree. He continues with the second super chat. We all know that they're heading for a heel turn, but they overshot the teases before losing at Full Gear. The Bucks went too far in being edgy beforehand. And was it really all that edgy? I would even argue. Was it really all that edgy? Because at some point it was just like, you're just being dicks, and that's fine. But at least be dicks to the world champions. You've got a shot coming up, right? I don't know, man. Warm soda time. Warm soda. I think that they're trying too hard with MJF and Jericho, and I think it came to a head last night with the town hall stuff, which was really overwrought. And it's hard for me to come around and say, well, off of that great segment they had last week, this was really hard to look at. Coming off last week, anything they did would have been unfairly treated. But the whole thing, the setup and the questions, I think it was a little too cute for its own good. I think they all thought all of this was very funny amongst themselves, and maybe in the execution of it just came off a little too heavy-handed. And I think it was a step down from last week. Again, not a surprise. I thought the song and dance number last week was such a high. Anything was going to be a step down, but I also think it was useless. Why aren't these guys just cutting promos on each other? Why do they have to do these cute segments? Why do they feel they have to ham it up to this level? Like, we had a discussion on the post show last week about who we feel is the greatest heel in all of wrestling. And MJF didn't come up in our conversations. Not early on anyway, but we did eventually talk about him, but there was no one pushing for MJF. 1 year ago, we would not be having this conversation. We would not be having a conversation of who's the greatest heel without talking about MJF. I think that with the presidential stuff that he was doing and building up to his match with Moxley and all of this here, I think he's losing that smarminess and he's just coming off too entertaining now. Yeah, this is the guy who last night I saw a bit of that MJF brilliance when he off the cuff said that Sammy Guevara to his face said to Sammy that he looks like someone who sells Adderall to middle school kids. I popped when I heard that. I was like, yes, this is the MJF that I really like, who comes up with these awesome burns. But no, we have him being cutesy and giving gifts and 3 sizes too large jackets, hoop, sparring verbally with Chris Jericho about steak doneness. At some point, I'm just like, let these guys talk. Let them do their thing. They're trying too hard with this feud. It's wild. I'm excited to see MJF versus Jericho regardless at Full Gear. I think it's an easy sell, but that's it. It's an easy sell. They shouldn't have to. They shouldn't have to feel like they shouldn't have to feel like they need all of this artifice to make it work. It's just me. I'm gonna go with gonna go with some Cool Beans now. Go away, Warm Soda. We don't like you. Not now, anyway. Sometimes we like you, but not right now. I've been seeing a lot of stuff on social media about Kenny Omega's character and his heel turn, and the change and the cleaner stuff. And there's a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people being like, "Bad move. Nobody knows what Kenny Omega's character is. The cleaner. They should address that. They should tell us what it's all about." I'm like, why? Honestly, here's the thing. It doesn't need to be explained. You don't need to go through the history of Kenny Omega to justify what's going on. He's having it at its very basic level. He's turning heel. If you've never seen Kenny Omega up until now, or you're like, okay, well, he's becoming a bad guy and he's become delusional. He's got women coming out with brooms dancing, and I don't like it. He's on some sort of megalomaniac trip. Okay. That's what. But if you have been following the career of Kenny Omega going back to New Japan, You understand what's going on. You understand the references. You know what the cleaner is all about. You get it all. And you know what? Cool. And that is how you reward your fans for sticking behind you. That's how you give back to your fans. You give them stuff that they'll understand and that they might understand to explain to another fan who doesn't quite get it. And the other fan will be like, oh, that's pretty nice. That's how it is. We have another promotion, another major promotion, who never rewards us for being long-term viewers, for being long-term fans. If AEW is comfortable with being like, Kenny, go out there, do your cleaner thing, I think it's great. I think it celebrates fans who've stuck with Omega right up until this point. He should continue doing that. We should not have 5 minutes of exposition at the start of every match to explain the history, how it dates back to New Japan, so on and so forth, Bullet Club, blah, blah, blah. We don't need any of that. So I'm good with what they're doing with Omega's character right now. I think it's cool. There you go. Abhinav Tirumala, good to see you. Welcome to the chat. More cool beans. AEW's women's division last night. Well, mostly cool beans, I'll tell you that. Look, I thought the match between Serena Deeb and Layla Hirsch was fantastic. Layla Hirsch, up-and-comer on the independent scene. She's just a few years into pro wrestling. Yes, she has the MMA background. She's just a few years in, and she's already very good. She was in the ring with a ring general, Serena Deeb, who was magnificent with her last night. Great stuff from top to bottom. Absolutely great stuff from top to bottom. But when you take a step back and you think about it, this is what's wild. Serena Deeb, a signed AEW talent, was defending the NWA World Women's Championship, which she won the night before, on AEW television against a talent who is not signed to AEW. That is fucking wild. And in the meantime, then after that, you're wondering, well, what about the AEW World Women's Champion? What is she up to? Are they giving her something at Full Gear? And they stuff her match announcement into a backstage segment where it's like, Nyla Rose has decided to not wrestle until you give her a shot. I'm like, what? When did Nyla Rose start this boycott? When did she start this strike? I was not aware of it. This was never addressed anywhere, not even on social media, which is something that Nyla Rose could have easily done. News to me. Hey, you want to talk about some hotshot booking? Let's just slap something together. This is it right here. They've been doing jack shit with Nyla. They haven't been doing much of interest with Shida. Full Gear is coming. We've got 2 weeks. Man, we don't have time to build a proper feud. Let's just throw Nyla and Shida again. Why not Britt? I don't know, but that's what we're getting at Full Gear. But in the meantime, on the same show, you have the NWA World Championship being defended. Now, if this isn't a metaphor for the state of the AEW women's division, I don't know what it is. God bless them. It was a good match that we got last night. Solid match on AEW TV by the women. But this whole thing here, that was it's weird when you think about it, and it really does expose the weaknesses that the division has. More so than when they had Thunder Rosa versus Shida at All Out. At this point, do something. You have the women, AEW. You do. And if you're still missing some, I have a whole list of them. I've been interviewing, I interviewed more than a dozen women who could fit your profile, that you could sign, that they're just waiting to wrestle. So, it's up to you. Anakin left us another super chat. Very thank you, Anakin. He says, I know it's a cursed phrase, but to be fair, yes, that is a cursed phrase. WWE can reward long-term viewers when they want. The Firefly Funhouse match. Yes, but though I marked out for that because That's what it was. It was fan service. But WWE has a track record of the opposite. Their track record is, we're going to retcon stuff and we're not going to talk about things until you forget it. And we're going to make you believe that China, for the longest time, China didn't exist with, it was Trish Stratus and Lita. And then all of a sudden, we're starting to warm up to China again. So we'll put China back into the equation. It's such bullshit. So no. Yes, they can, but they mostly choose not to. Cal W95 left a super chat. Thank you very much. Saying supporting a great guy. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Very kind of you. Thank you, Cal W95. DGMC left us a super chat as well. Says AEW hire more women that can go. Yes. And he typed that in all caps. So I hope I was able to transmit that properly. Let's keep going here. You know, I liked Halloween Havoc last night. I thought it was good. I thought the production was on point. They had fun with it. There was lots of little details. NXT Halloween Havoc was a real good show last night. Let me talk about a couple of highlights here. All in the cool beans section. Look, the Haunted House of Terror match. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see it, but I thought it was fun. It was campy, stupid fun, you know, and it was because of Cameron Grimes being so ridiculous about it. That was the only thing that made it so good, so spectacularly good. It was him. It was all resting on his shoulders, you know, from seeing the spooky tricycle in the house and saying, "Loomis, do you have kids?" And then ending up in the bathroom with the shower, and he actually thinks Loomis has a sister, and he starts taking his clothes off because he's like, "I'm coming in for a shower, but I feel dry." It was campy. It was stupid, and it didn't take itself too seriously. And I was okay with it. It was entertaining to me. On the same level that MJF and Jericho was entertaining to me. There wasn't a match. I'm not going to rate this and say 3.5 stars or whatever, but it was a fun time. It worked. I thought it was entertaining, but it was entertaining because they had Cameron Grimes carrying this segment on his back, all the ridiculousness of it, and I think that has to be properly underscored. More cool beans, the Pat McAfee stuff. Props to WWE here. Major props. Spot on. In one segment, made sense of the entire thing with Ridge Holland, Adam Cole. McAfee explained, said he resented Cole for not shaking his hand after the match at TakeOver, instead standing over him and flexing. And he said he was, it was getting to him, was killing him on the inside as he was in his private jet heading back to Indianapolis. He was thinking about it, and he couldn't come back to Full Sail to take care of it because he has all this shit going on. That was just keeping him too busy. So he called in Ridge to take out Cole, a hired gun. Then the same thing with Oni and Danny Burch. And then Kyle O'Reilly comes out. He's flanked by Pete Dunne, but Pete Dunne instantly turns on him. And he's with Pat McAfee. Yes, we're going to War Games, that's fine. But look at how fantastic this angle was. Just so simple. And it didn't take weeks of masked men throwing shit or having these convoluted storylines. No, it's all ego. It's just ego and getting even. And Pat McAfee being a dastardly, old school, manipulative villain. Alex last night on the podcast said, I bet Bobby Heenan is looking down on this from wherever he is, and he's enjoying it because it's a very Bobby Heenan thing that he's doing. And you're excited because Pete Dunne is there. But Pete Dunne turns on Kyle O'Reilly. And you know what? The Pete Dunne turn even makes sense in this whole thing because he always hated the Undisputed Era. So even if they're baby faces now, he doesn't give a shit. He hates the guys. I loved it. From A to Z. I thought it was great. Why can WWE just bring down its angles to their simplest expression like this? It's so good. But you know what else was so good? Io Shirai versus Candice LeRae in a table, ladders, and scares match. This ruled. That's all you can say about this match. It ruled from the moment that Io got another special entrance with Poppy and the screens. It rocked. And then the whole match itself, the through the tables and the ladders, the shit that Candice LeRae ate during this match. Got suplexed on upright chairs. She got thrown off a ladder onto another horizontal ladder. It was good. It was so awesome. Everything worked. Shirai holds on to the title. My only caveat is, at some point, Candice has to win a big match. That's my main caveat here. But Jesus Christ, this was good. And look at the stark difference here. When they talk about, and I'm not even talking about Rhea versus Raquel Gonzalez, which was it was also very good. But look at what they did here during this match. Look at what they did here. And look at how the match was set up. Main event. And you know how commentators like to say, oh, we got a big match feel. They didn't have to say big match feel and make us believe that it was big match feel for it to feel like a big match, because it did. They treated it like a big match and it came across like a big match, and turns out it was. And look at the difference here on how WWE treats, how it perceives its women versus AEW. Because Io got the royal treatment as far as an entrance goes last night, as far as NXT can provide. Of course, it was fabulous. It was exciting and it got you into it, got you pumped. Everything clicked. Candice and Io have fantastic chemistry together, and they're fearless. They don't give a shit about their bodies. It's all for our entertainment. Such a good match to cap off the Wednesday Night Wars last night. Magnificent stuff. Even went over, like 6 minutes over on USA. Bless them. That's how you make it. I mean, that's how you make your women's division feel special. That's how you make your women look special. And yes, I'm going to draw the parallel with AEW. The women have never main evented a Dynamite, much less a pay-per-view at this point. But then not even a Dynamite. And here, WWE is like, yeah, sure, it's the women, and let's pull out all the stops. We're going to, regardless. They could have done this with Ciampa if it had been Ciampa at the, he could have had the big entrance if he was in the main event. It doesn't matter. God, this was good. Yeah. JK Schwal left us a super chat. Didn't even know you were in the chat. Good to see you. Thank you very much for the super chat. How odd is it, does he ponder, is that NXT never puts the top belt on stars like Bianca and LeRae. Those two have a history of always losing the big one. I agree. Bianca Belair never being NXT champion is going to be just one of those head scratchers. It's one we're still going to be wondering in 20 years when Bianca is is the undeniable greatest women's performer of the past decade. We're all going to be like, can you believe WWE didn't even put the NXT strap on her? Same thing with Candice. I don't know what's holding them back. Because you guys know, we stand for Candice LeRae here at Warren Hayes HQ. So it makes it makes twice as little sense for me. Fantastic stuff. But there you have it, folks. This week's weekly wrestling inspection is kaput. Before we go, it was a Thursday. It was the end of a fiscal quarter. You know what that means? It means WWE had its earnings call once again. And I'm just going to go through a few details here before we wrap things up, before heading over onto the post stream at patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes. Go subscribe, sign up, and come and join us. We take calls. We chat. It's good times. A few highlights here. Of course, if you want proper analysis as opposed to this doofus here, if you want to hear some real analysis from these numbers from someone who actually knows what they're talking about, Brandon Thurston on Twitter is your hookup. Follow him at Brandon Thurston or at WrestleNomics. They do fantastic work, and they're going to break this down. That's it. It's just as simple as that. But I can point out a few highlights. I'm not a complete moron. WWE reports net income for Q3 of $48.2 million. And the standout here is that in the only 9 months, throughout the first 3 quarters of 2020 is officially WWE's most profitable year in its history. No surprise. They've cut down costs everywhere. They're not touring, so on and so forth. So, of course, it's super profitable this year. And this is only 3 quarters in. There's still the end of the year to go. So, it's going to be a good year for them fiscally. Revenue for the quarter is $221.6 million. I listened a bit to the call. Vince says he started off by, he had a whole bunch. He had new members of the executive board for this call here. So he says that he felt very confident in regards to his new management, and says that there's a new spirit, a new vibrance, and has optimism. So good for you, Vince. Another note that came out of this, out of the call, is that there's going to be a multi-part docu-series that's been sold to Netflix on the life of Vince McMahon. So that's really interesting. I don't know if that means that the biography is not working, the biopic they wanted to do. I don't know if that means that it's not working, but the docuseries on Vince's life, stoked to see how that goes. I am particularly excited to see how they're going to treat the whole period during the steroid trial. Oh, baby, that's going to be some juicy stuff right there. And the lawsuits against the media that follow. Yeah. I'm really excited to see how that's going to happen. Anakin says, can't wait for Jimmy Van to break this down on Listing Your Boy. Sure. But I'm telling you, like, if you want the in-depth analysis, you want to understand the minutia of it, Jimmy Van does a good job. I get that. Man, Brandon Thurston, no one even comes close in wrestling media. They also mentioned in the call that they will be working with their Indian partner, as Sony, and in the Indian market in 2021. They're going to do an event featuring local talent that they've been developing there. So, okay, don't know exactly what kind of shape or form it's going to take, but okay, sure. Here's an interesting thing that Vince McMahon said during the call. He said that, ratings aren't necessarily down, and they're just one measuring stick. If you factor in like YouTube and social media, he says WWE has more fans than ever before. That is a wild, wild assumption, especially when inside the, because yes, like their ad-supported video on demand is on the uptick. It's not as high as it was in previous quarters, but it's still very high. and ad-supported video on demand means YouTube, Facebook, anything that you run, and any videos that run ads, pre-roll, post-roll, that's what that means. Brandon Thurston evaluates that WWE probably makes $20 million off of YouTube alone. So it's not that they're not getting views and so on and so forth. It's just, it's a very bold, very carny kind of thing to say by Vince. Was like, wow, we have people all over the place watching us. And it's weird that you'd say, the ratings are still okay. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Comparing to this quarter to third quarter 2020 to third quarter 2019, ratings for Raw on USA are down by 29%. So last year, there were 29% more people watching Raw than there were this year at the same period. That being said, there's a 32% drop in overall viewership on the USA Network. Now, you could say that Raw is contributing to that, but it's a problem across the board. Whereas Raw and primetime cable viewership is up 4% as opposed to Q3 2019. So there's more people watching the top 25 cable networks, but they're not watching the USA Network, and they're clearly not watching Raw. If you go over to Smackdown, as of 2019 to 2020, the difference is negligible. There's the ratings are down 2% as opposed to last year. That's negligible, but it's also interesting that it hasn't risen, right? You'd think that after a year on Fox, there'd be some positive numbers, but I mean, it's not the end of the world. Fox Broadcasting in general, the ratings dropped 33% as opposed to last year. So again, there's a lot of people just not watching Fox, but when you put the 2% drop for SmackDown in particular here, it's not so bad. Like, that's not where the ratings are bleeding. And then when you juxtapose that to the fact that that there's 24% less people watching the top 4 broadcast networks throughout the third quarter as opposed to Q3 2019, that is also an indication that, well, SmackDown ain't doing too bad. It's not too bad. It's maybe not bringing in tons of viewers, but that's definitely not where shit is bleeding. So Vince looks at this and he says the ratings aren't dropping, and we're like, really? Okay, that's weird. And here's the wild thing. He says ratings are what they are, and he can't hang a hat on ratings being down. He says TV is a mothership. It's the hearth. It's where everyone gathers, but they're seeing growth on other platforms all the time. And he says we're doing everything we can, quote, better writing, better execution. So Vince is basically saying right now, he thinks, not only does he think that ratings aren't really down, we have more fans than at any other period in our history. And not only that, but we're keeping them because of our tip-top writing and great execution. I'm like, I mean, if this isn't confirmation that Vince is completely disconnected, completely, or he's literally just putting on a show for the stockholders, but Jesus. I also talked about the network, the WWE network. There was a question about what their different strategic opportunities are for the network. And they're clearly, they being WWE, leaning into licensing the network to companies outside the country or even inside the country who want to license the network as opposed to selling it. They're looking at all the options outside of a sale of the network, which is really, really interesting. Again, WWE leaning on licensing their content as a way to make the big bucks. It's been working for them so far. It's been working for them with their TV deals, so I guess that'd be okay. I mean, they said it themselves. Like, if anything happens, they're a streaming first company. They're ready to be a streaming first company. If cable falls apart and the opportunities lie elsewhere. So that's really interesting. So we started to see licensing content, WWE content over to Peacock. So we'll see what happens moving forward. But clearly they don't want to sell the network. They want to hang on to it. They understand the value of the content. The content is the oil in this, to take an analogy from another environment. Making billions of dollars. They're super profitable. And this is the company that in the meantime will not pay for medical insurance for its independent contractors, its employees, and this is the company that's taking Twitch accounts away from their stars, from the wrestlers who on their own built up this viewership, this connection with their fan base that in turn WWE benefits from. It's so stupid. It started today. We've started seeing it happen today. AJ Styles put out a message saying that he's going to be suspending his Twitch channel moving forward because of WWE. Was very clear on it. Mia Yim just a couple of weeks ago was pulling charity events, raising money for Chris Riddle, if I'm not mistaken. And no more of that. We're not doing any more of that. We've even got Paige, who's going to be suspending as well. And she had a huge following. Millions and millions of dollars, and they're just hoarding. All they're doing is hoarding wealth. They can't leave their talent, get the meager returns of their out of their Twitch streaming. They have to get a cut of these meager returns. This is the point where WWE is just greed. When you hear that they're having the most profitable year of its history, and it's a $3.3 billion company. It boggles the imagination that they would turn around and take these social outlets out, social outlets that allow their wrestlers to connect with their fans, and then in turn make these fans look forward to seeing them wrestle, see them appear on WWE television. And a lot of these people started Twitch channels because of COVID, because WWE's not touring, and because they're not doing shit with them. Like Drew Gulak, like Mia Yim. Mia Yim's been on it for a while though, but you get the point. When I was telling you earlier that the strength of a wrestler, the longevity of his or her career depends on their reputation and how they're presented and how and the connections that they're able to make with an audience. It's the same type of strategy when it comes to social media, when it comes to creating Twitch channels. If you create engagement and you create a rapport with some hardcore fans, it will bleed into the main product. This is short-sighted, moronic, baffling behavior by WWE. I'm pretty sure that no one is getting rich in the WWE superstars by streaming live on Twitch or on YouTube or whatever. Like they're not ready to quit their jobs and do this full time kind of thing. Pretty sure WWE still has a better salary. But just going to scratch into the weak margins that you get when you do some live streaming. That's pathetic. It really is. And I don't think you can to a point, I will get on the IP train where they're like, I've talked about it before. If Robert Downey Jr. started tweeting as Iron Man, probably Marvel would be like, hey dude, stop, because you're not really Iron Man. You're a guy that we hired to do this. So I can get it if they're using WWE imagery and their stage names and whatever, but AJ Styles is his name. I don't look. Could go on for a while. Anakin left us a super chat. Thank you again. Anakin, he says, I'm more invested in Woods, Cesaro, Breeze, and Cole because they play Uno, and I'm more invested in Jessamine Duke after watching her on YouTube. Because you're able to see sides of their personality that fucking WWE creative won't allow to come through. Aside from Woods, I think Woods is the exception here. But Tyler Breeze, fucking entertaining, much more entertaining than we see on TV. Cesaro is ridiculous. Jessamine Duke, she is getting a big following on Twitter. It's a mess, is what it is. You know, won't be a mess though. The post stream that is going to happen in just a few minutes as we wrap up here. Another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes show that we almost didn't get thanks to Mr. Troll Hayes. But that was actually me, don't worry. I want to thank everyone for joining me this evening live here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. Do consider giving the video a thumbs up if you haven't already. I really appreciate that. And even if you're watching on your own accord, I do appreciate that as well. Thank you if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application. Show some love there as well. I will be back next week for some more fun times here, talking about the wacky, wacky world of professional wrestling. And in the meantime, thank you again. Thank you all for coming out. Have a safe week. Have a great Halloween. See you next time.